Hello, hashtag Arthur with Bike With Me 14, Belgium Garden Cemetery. Those that follow this series know I have moved to a new house. Frankly, I am exhausted. Moving is a challenging job and I have bruises, cuts and sprains from heavy lifting, intense cleaning and arranging furniture and the stuff that makes a house a home. I'm also extremely sunburned. Soon I have to do a chronic disease management plan as I endure a couple of major conditions including cancer. But I'm not going to let that stop me moving as much as I can, even if I hurt so much I cannot sleep. The coronavirus has nothing on me. Death is something on my mind. However, I'm not one to be sentimental about family graveyards. I could not care less where my dead relatives are buried, and I will not be interred. Rather, I will be cremated and my ashes scattered into the nearest river. I just like looking at the gravestones and talking to the dead. A one-sided conversation. So we're heading through the various suburbs. It's not that far from home really. By car it would be 5 or 6 minutes. By bike it's going to take a little bit longer. And we're going into a place called Belgian Gardens, and just here I had to slow down because there was a prang, which is what we call a car accident in Australia. And there's the ambulance. Some idiots had tried to turn right where they shouldn't have. Okay, so we're coming to the turn off, which is Evans Street here, and this is going through Belgium Gardens, which used to be called German Gardens, but of course, as you know, the Germans lost the war twice, because some people never learn, and so it was changed name because it was owned by a German who had a vineyard. So we come into the cemetery, and this is a very big cemetery, and there's an aerial picture. It goes north-south and you enter through the gardens, which were opened in 1991 area, so it's still in use, and it goes on and it goes on, and at the moment there's 27,236 memorials which are noted in the cemetery. There could be more. It's just that in those very early days it's hard to say what was going on. The earliest grave belongs to a Chinese male, Lum, who died at 60 years on the 28th of October 1903. And on the day this was filmed, a burial was happening and I was diverted off my course, and as you can see it just goes on and it goes on and it goes on, and because it's a very dry sort of place, there is a dryness about it. Over to the right is the airport which drones on, and to the other side the sea sort of can wash through here, so some of these gravestones can be damaged by cyclone damage and flooding and the like. And this part is quite new. A helicopter was taking off at the time, just over behind all this. This is the new type of cemetery and shows the different types of style. They don't have the big stones and whatever. And along here you get the occasional glance at a family mausoleum. These huge things here which have many people buried. And as you can see from the garbage bin, dead use the garbage service. This is for Aboriginal people, and they have their own areas. There is an Asian area, a Jewish area. Italian families tend to have mausoleums, as do Greeks, and the ages just vary, as I say, from the early part of the beginning of the last century right up to recently. And I just saw this out the corner of my eye and I had to move over, and these are obviously very recent, and for very young people. And there they go, and then you have these sort of lost graves and these very old graves, and there's one that's sort of more recent. And even in those bare areas, there are many graves that just don't have a stone on them. And so, if you were a bit meek about this sort of thing, or that's the word, whatever, and you didn't like to be in a place like this, the gates are shut at dusk, so you can't sort of wander through, and they are policed. And I'm being diverted because, as I said, there was a burial taking place, so there's some very recent burials. I know some of the people buried here, and as Bette Davis famously said, only speak well of the dead, or speak good of the dead. Well, good though, dead. Okay, a lot of terminology around interment, the burial or rather disposition of a dead body. For example, mausoleum, which we just saw. Finial, they're the ornaments atop a post or similar element in furniture. And some of these places are really done up. They have little gates on them, which are quite modern, like you'd have on your back veranda. And so we're moving out, and that's Castle Hill there, which is the big monolith right in the middle of the city. And as I said to you, these bare places here have graves in them. They're just not noted with a cement works or the like. And that was where I was blocked, so I had to go through. My fat wheel bike is doing rather well. It goes through all this, and there's not too many bumps about, and I can sort of go through the rough ground without too much worry. Okay, well, don't forget to comment, like and subscribe, which helps build smaller channels. And Bike With Me 15, I think we'll go back to the town common and have a look. This is unusual, just here, this is a sort of a line of graves, and they all had sister on top, so they would be from a nunnery somewhere. Okay, thanks for viewing.